Hi, everyone, and welcome to day 25, 25 minutes of mindfulness meditation. So, why don't you all just go gather what you need to get comfortable for today? Any props, any positions, maybe you want to change locations, just go ahead and take these beginning moments, these arriving moments to find that space for yourself. And what I'm going to talk about today, what I'm going to start with is I woke up this morning inspired, and inspired in a way that I woke before any of my alarms. And I have multiple alarms because normally I sleep through them. And I found myself excited to be here with you all today. I mean, I'm excited every day, but because of something that happened yesterday, I was so excited to share that sort of experience with you all today. I went last night with a bunch of friends that I hadn't seen in a while out to a new place, a new town / small city outside of where I live. I'd never been before. I didn't know what to expect. I had heard other people's opinions about what this experience might be like, but really it was, about connecting with friends and then experiencing something new. In that experience, one of the things that I love when it happened to me was I got to meet a new group of people. And I got to hear their story and about their lives and why they were out and what they were doing. But the inspiration part really came from hearing, as we do in the West, when the question comes up, what do you do professionally? And it didn't matter who that question got lobbed to, because as it does, it sort of makes its way around the group. You could feel a shift in energy. There was not one person who met that question with exuberance or let me tell you what I do. There was a pause, a how do I frame this, maybe even some hesitation. And in some cases, people were just downright like, I don't like what I do, and I'm dreading going back on Monday or the next day that they had to work. So what inspired me was, this is the journey that we've been on for the past 25 days. And isn't that amazing that I had initially started this out because of the expectations between how much money corporations are spending on offering up mindfulness and wellness services to their employees, and then how employees are actually consuming it. But at the end of the day, why we show up is directly impacted by how we show up. There's a lot of reasons of why we're in our chosen professions, careers, or just if you just want to label it a job, if you feel that it's just sort of that, just a thing. That is the point. We as individuals are showing up, and we're driven by other reasons to show up to work, and then those reasons directly impact us and the feelings and the situations and the thoughts and the sensations that we're having, the emotions. And it really impacts me when I hear people say that they're not looking forward to showing up on Monday, because this is like the real currency here isn't money, it's the energy, it's our time, it's our willingness to, it's an opportunity cost. The opportunity to do something else is foregone when we choose to, or we feel like we have to do something else. And in this story, it's work. Can we show up as our authentic selves to a place of employment and find joy? And the answer is yes, we can. And if you're laughing at me, it's okay. I used to as well. Because the outcome of the joyous experience in our careers is dictated by how we're showing up to that moment. If we show up with this level of gratitude, is the word that's coming to my mind, gratitude for things that we're bringing to the table, it's going to come back. And trust me, if you guys, especially if you're following this on LinkedIn, want to look at my professional career, you can see the organizations I worked for, and you can realize there was definitely a lot of opportunity for high pressure situations and tense ones. And I reacted and such. And I did get to a point where I burned out because I was showing up to situations where Friday night, I was so excited to not have to work, but then Saturday started the agita of like, oh, but I've got to go back. And it was this cycle of me and my habits and how I was showing up that just allowed that little tiny seed of worry to turn into an avalanche, at which point shifted me and forced me to make some real introspective life decisions. But we don't have to leave our careers. We don't have to leave our jobs. We just need to know what's happening to us in the moment, why we're doing something in the first place, and then meet that situation as it is. And that's what we've been working on here. That's why I'm so inspired. So that when we have conversations about what we do professionally, if we start to feel immediately that the breath moves to the chest and we start to close in on ourselves, that's an immediate like, whoa, okay, halt, stop right now. There's something we need to pay attention to. What is it? And tying it back into those 6,000 thoughts that we have a day, and a lot of them being our underlying habits and patterns and belief systems, is there something that even with that first question that we can pause and say, okay, what is it about this situation? Just one thing that I could look at right now and say, okay, this is probably why it's bothering me, and this is why I don't like it. And every time I think about it, it causes me to like grasp for my breath, to breathe differently. And then to recall that we have this practice. And today it's 25 minutes, but you've had less than that up to this point. And you can pick any day you want that served you in the amount of time. But the new patterning that we're creating is the shifting us out of that thought process that Mondays are always going to stink and our jobs are always going to be hard and it's always going to be a dragging situation, to a, well, now I know how to carve 15 minutes out of my day. So even if that other stuff is still true, I now choose to put 15 minutes for me to go for a walk, to enjoy my coffee, to sit in a conference room or a closet or anywhere else and just observe my breath. That decision to take the time is carving out a new habit so that with time, over time, we're not destined to go down that one predetermined route. We know that we're building a ramp to something different. And we can't change other people or situations, but we can change how we show up. And then that will influence change down the road, because we are not, what we do is not just us. We impact and influence others. So if you're feeling the dread already, it's in the morning here. So if you're already feeling the dread of the week to come, then I would love for you to, as we're finding our seat in our comfortable position here, to place one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. And we're going to do this whether or not you feel dread or complete exuberance. Because if you are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, stuff, I love what I do, then I want you to seal that in. And I want you to feel that in every cell of your body, so that you know that feeling versus the feeling of reluctance or dread towards a certain situation. I'm just using work as an example. This could be applicable to any situation. This is what awareness is. This is what mindfulness is. So one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And just before you do anything else, just feel the weight and the warmth of the hands resting in these two places. Notice if you're already feeling like your shoulders are like, this is really painful and I don't know what to do. See if you can roll them down. And you always have the option to lie down or to rest upon a wall or a back of a chair. Something that allows you to feel both the ability to expand and to grow left and right, up and down, front and back. And as you're sitting here and you're just feeling the hands here, I'd like for you to just notice how your inhale is moving in. Can you feel the inhale beneath the hands? And if so, which hand do you feel it the most? What's interesting is our body instinctively knows how to breathe, but life experiences has also caused our own native breathing, our breath, to change. So even though we're born and the body knows exactly what it's doing, life has, for the most of us, for the majority of us, has changed it. So you might be curious and maybe even interested to know that if on the inhale, the breath doesn't feel expansive, if instead it feels short and slight and almost like it's moving up and down and not so much out and in, just take note of that. And it might just have been even me mentioning that the breath is supposed to be a little bit more expansive, but you can feel yourself begin to settle into, well, what would it feel like for the breath to be expansive, to move out and in, even if we just move the chest breath down to the ribs. And here's a great place for us to begin to bring in that counting breath. So we're not going to change our breath to match what we think it should be. We're just going to count the breath as it is. So as you inhale, we're counting up to 4. And as you exhale, we're counting down from 4. We're just letting that count inform us, just as the hands are, about the quality and the characteristics of the breath. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And go ahead and continue on with your own count, your own breath. Just noticing if you can feel that expansion and notice the count. And if it's too much, choose which one you'd like to stick with. Maybe the feeling of the breath underneath the hands, and perhaps just the count. You may even feel as if the gaze wants to soften onto a point where you don't really need to focus. You can just settle the gaze, or comfortable enough to close the eyes entirely. We're going to take that light of awareness that we talked about a few days ago. We're just going to focus it in on what the breath is doing. So if we allow the eyes to close, you may be able to hear how the breath is today. If it's feeling a little bit stronger, you may actually hear the breath audibly. And at times, people say it sounds like ocean waves coming in and out. This inhale, exhale. As you begin to settle into the breath and everything starts to move more towards this rest and digest activity of the central nervous system, the breath begins to soften, and you may even be unable or a little bit harder to hear the sounds of the breath, so you may feel the breath moving in and out just below the nostril, or maybe in and out of the nostrils themselves. And then as we continue on further into this internal exploration, if noticing the qualities of the breath in the external realm is just a little bit further out than you want to be, you can start to bring your awareness to feeling that expansiveness inside, maybe even the subtle feeling of the lungs expanding equally on the inhale, full of breath. And then coming back in on the exhale. And you can continue just noticing the shift in the breath from when we first joined together to now. We've taken a journey from the external observation of the breath all the way down to the very subtle internal sensations and feels of the breath. So if you feel yourself being pulled out of this moment, just find yourself back on that path. Let this be the new road we travel as you slide back into other thoughts, other sensations, maybe even worry. You can always remember to come back to feeling the breath under the hands. Feeling the breath moving in and out of the nose. To hearing the breath as it softly whispers in and out. To feeling the subtle movement of the lungs, expanding and contracting. And you can feel free at any point to let the hands rest down on the thighs or on the floor, elsewhere on your body that you may need the support. Just notice the feelings, the sensations, any residual impact from having those hands resting at that point on your body. Notice the expansiveness, the room for the breath that you've created. And this is the practice for today, the awareness that we have that we may find ourselves in these unconscious habits and patternings that cause us to react. And because it's unconscious, they may not make their way to our actual thoughts, but our body is telling us that something is bothering us. And because we're taking this time to tune into what the body is offering us by way of information, we can then take even the briefest of moments to understand the situation, to assess what might be driving these feelings. And then to come back to this point where we know this here, the breath moving freely, softly, without striving or straining, feels better on our bodies than that other situation, that other triggering situation. So maybe we should make some space to just return back to this breath before we proceed forward. And by doing that, we get to change how we show up to situations and not feel so tied to the why we need to be in that situation. Slowly allow the breath to deepen. Just take a breath in through the nose. Allow the lips to open, just sigh it out. Allow your chin to tuck towards your chest if you're seated. If you're lying down, move your head from side to side. Just Feel the lengthening along the back. And then when you're ready, slowly begin to blink your eyes open to one space, one place in front of you, allowing your blood pressure and your heart rate to resettle, because we've probably dropped it down a little bit lower now. And then allow the gaze to come on up. Notice the difference in the space around you. And our 25 minutes are done. And I hope that this helps you all. I hope that this tool, the mindfulness journey that you've been taking here, allows you to find that joy, that peace, that inspiration that may elude a number of us, especially as we start to head into the work week, that it serves you to know that you have the power, the opportunity to change how these outside influences impact you, because you have the tools to work with the influences inside of you. I will see you all tomorrow. Day 26, 26 minutes of mindfulness meditation.